Okay. Story time with Banna. Chapter 1. Ruby X Weiss contains Weiss Schnee sat on a chair outside the balcony window of her dorm room, watching as the winter storm settled in the vale. Spreading a blanket of snowflakes under the city, she sipped a mug of hot cocoa while she watched each snowflake settle itself against the surface of the balcony before being unrecognizable from the others. Such a soothing sight, Weiss muttered, her breath with a small smile across her face. Suddenly, the dorm door was thrown open and her team leader, Ruby Rose, burst inside. Weiss, you would not believe what I just... Ruby started. Ruby, will you shut up? Weiss demanded, cutting her off and scaring the poor girl. Weiss realized what she had done when she saw the tears well up in Ruby's eyes. I'm sorry, Ruby. I meant none of it. Ruby wiped her tears away, but new ones replaced them soon after. Why do you have to be so mean to me, Weiss? Ruby whimpered. What did I do to you? Weiss did not answer. Instead, walking over and taking Ruby into arms, Ruby was reluctant at first, but she accepted the hug, giving Weiss a hug back. Come on, let's sit and watch the snow fall together, okay? We can eat cookies while we watch, too. The mention of cookies perked Ruby up, and while the red-clad girl pulled up a chair and small table, Weiss went into the small dorm kitchen and fixed up a large bowl of cookies and a large glass of milk for her friend. When she returned, Ruby was sitting in her chair gazing outside the window in awe. Only when Ruby heard the clink of the cookie bowl did she snap from her trance. Even before Weiss sat down, Ruby was already stuffing her face full of cookies followed by a large swig of milk. Weiss munched on a couple cookies herself, sipping her cocoa to wash it down. Enjoying those cookies, Ruby? Weiss inquired. The answer seemed quite obvious, and she was gobbling cookies up. Ruby washed her mouthful down with some milk, letting out a long gasp of air. You bet I am, Ice Queen, Ruby said cheerfully. Weiss did not take kindly to Ruby's nickname for her. Why does everyone call me that? Weiss mumbled. I know I can be rude and mean at times, but I'm not always like that. I think you can be bossy, rude, and an overall crabapple at times, Ruby admitted, making Weiss grow a frown. But since we have been teammates, I can notice that you can be kind, noble, and even heartwarming, even with an icy heart. Ruby's words suddenly warmed Weiss's heart. Ruby, I don't know what to say, Weiss whispered, beginning to blush. Well, let's just watch the snowfall. With a nod from the Ice Queen, the two girls resumed their snowfall watch. Occasionally, grabbing a cookie from the bowl, after about 10 minutes, both girls reached inside the bowl and ended up grabbing each other's hands. Weiss blushed and made a little eep sound, while Ruby said nothing and found a cookie instead. Weiss glanced over at Ruby and watched as she snarfed down the cookie, which made her look cute. A small smile spread across Weiss's face as she felt herself grow warm near Ruby. Weiss wondered how this girl is able to make her so happy with such few words and look cute from eating cookies. Then she discovered the answer, but she chose to keep it to herself for now at least, taking a few deep breaths which went unnoticed by Ruby. Weiss took a cookie and rose from her chair and crossed to in front of Ruby. Here you go, Ruby, she whispered, hovering the cookie in front of Ruby's face, teasing her. Ruby's eyes traced the cookie's path, never darting away. She snapped forward with a bite, but Weiss took the cookie out of her reach and quickly pressed her lips against Ruby's in a surprise kiss. After pulling away after several seconds, Weiss looked at Ruby, who only stared, most likely in confusion. What, Weiss? Ruby whispered. Weiss smiled and handed her the cookie. After Ruby swallowed the cookie, she found Weiss's cold hand caressing her cheek. Well, Weiss, what are you doing? Weiss only shushed her to stay silent, then lifted Ruby to her feet and continued to caress her face, hovering mere inches from the girl's face. I want to tell you something, Weiss whispered. I'm in love with you, Ruby Rose. Weiss's cheek was pure red, which shone beyond her pale white skin. Ruby was blushing as well, quite embarrassed that the Schnee heiress would say such a thing to her. Ruby's mouth fell agape, but that allowed Weiss to kiss her again, taking her by surprise once more. Ruby's eyes went wide, but then they slowly drooped and fell closed as she accepted the kiss. When they separated, Ruby was staring into Weiss's eyes. Weiss, I think I love you too, she muttered, loud enough for Weiss to hear. Sure, when we first met, you were just a mean little... Ruby let out a sigh. A mean little bitch, but all I wanted was to be your friend, and Ruby was cut off as Weiss took her into a hug, holding Little Red close to her. You are my friend, Ruby, Weiss told her, and I have to admit you make me smile every time you do something silly or cute. Ruby grinned and hugged Weiss back tight. Weiss released Ruby and raised her chin. Mind if we do something on the bed while Blake and Yang are out? There was a hint of lust within Weiss's voice, but Ruby did not notice, for she is 16. Okay, she answered. Weiss took the girl's hand and led her over to Weiss's bed. Sitting her down, Weiss sat down next to Ruby and put her hand on the girl's shoulder and pulling her close. Ruby said nothing, instead allowing Weiss to do whatever this something is. Weiss put both of her hands on Ruby's cheeks and clasped her lips against hers. Picking up on what Weiss wants to do, Ruby put her hands around Weiss's neck and kissed her back. After about a minute, Weiss pulled away and grinned at her friend, before lying her down on the bed. Ruby contracted her limbs up, nervous as to what Weiss intended to do next. The heiress merely hovered over Ruby with a grin of desire spread across her lips. She pulled the icicle tiara out of her hair, allowing all of the snow-white hair to drape down onto her shoulders. Ruby in the bed. Your hair looks so pretty, Weiss, Ruby complimented, touching several strands of her hair. Weiss giggled and kissed Ruby's lips, making Ruby pull her close. Weiss let go and moved down, kissing Ruby's cheek, then her neck, making Ruby moan at her touch. Weiss came up to see Ruby's ruby-red cheeks and grinned again. She began unbuttoning her uniform's jacket and tossed it to the floor, then took off her shirt and throwing that aside. Ruby went pure red when she found herself staring at a topless Weiss wearing a white bra. Well, Weiss, why are you taking your clothes off? She whispered. Weiss smiled and inched close to her face, kissing her cheek. Don't worry, Ruby, she whispered into her ear. I will take care of everything. She then took off her skirt, revealing her white underwear, and she sat upon Ruby's lap. The little Rose was blushing like crazy. Want me to take your clothes off for you, or are you a big girl? Ruby swallowed and was hesitant, but seeing Weiss half naked before her filled her body with a strange warm feeling that she did not recognize. It's called being horny. A warm feeling unlike sitting in front of a fireplace. Ruby slowly began undressing, taking extra time undoing her top thanks to her shaking hands. When it was done, Ruby laid before Weiss in her red and black underwear and red bra, looking away from Weiss with a red face. Weiss felt a little jealous that Ruby was more stacked than herself, but she ignored it to concentrate on the girl herself. Weiss got down and kissed Ruby again. Now, Ruby accepted it fully without embarrassment. The heiress kissed her cheeks, then her neck, and moved down to a But Weiss, she moaned. And that is all for now. So what was your reaction the entire time? Like, what happened when you first heard it? Like, when you heard me say the title and then the contents?
Oh, shit. The second you started, I was like, is he really going to do a story time with Banner? And then you just started going, and I was like, I am not going to interrupt this. I only has the pistol. What is that with that Madonna-looking motherfucking picture? That's some creepy shit. Oh my god, I was not done looking at that!
I showed you the tweet of Pornhub when the servers for Fortnite went down, right?
No.
They told them to hurry up and fix the server issue before their servers went down. Are we there yet?
No.
I have to pee.
There's a tree right there.
Okay. I just want you to be warned. I have explosive piss. It's a quirk. Oh god.
That would be horrible. I mean, you could just piss in a bottle and throw it as a grenade, but still, that'd be horrible.
Oh my god. Oh my.
I pity the fool who has explosive piss.
Now, would they be a villain or a hero?
Oh, that'd be a villain
'Cause-
for sure.
yeah, because I don't think a hero would go around flashing their weenus everywhere.
Not only that, they wouldn't go flashing their dicks everywhere, and they wouldn't. Then they definitely just not go throw their piss at people.
Well, that's what I was saying. I said they wouldn't go flashing their weenus everywhere. Look, I'm a family-friendly channel.
Fuck that. Fuck you, sir.
Oh, did you actually get them?
I injured his ass. Holy shit. Where'd he go? Ah!
Got trouble over there, bud?
A little bit. Yep. I would say so.
You need help?
A little bit.
You would say so?
I would say so, yeah. I would say so.
What kind of help?
Some fire support, please. That'd be great. That'd be some great fire support, please. Oh, I killed him. I killed his ass.
So do you not need the help anymore?
No, I still need help. There's still a lot of people in front of me that I need to preferably get past.
Okay. Okay. Where they at? Oh shit.
Holy fucking fuck, no.
Oh.
Oh, to our left,
my God.
to our left in front of us. Everywhere, everywhere.
Ruby, have you ever seen a girl naked before, Weiss Cood? Well, Yang and I used to. Oh, I was halfway until done. Well, Yang and I used to take baths together when we were young. Otherwise, no, she answered. Weiss chuckled and she sat up. She reached around back and unhooked her bra, tossing it outside and revealing her tiny breasts to Ruby, both of them blushing like crazy. Heh, they look so small, Ruby teased with a giggle. Weiss gritted her teeth in frustration. Oh yeah? Well, let's see yours. She tore Ruby's bra off, allowing Ruby's breasts to flop off and sending the girl in grasps. Weiss cooed at how soft Ruby's breasts looked and bore down onto them. Weiss, Ruby moaned. I feel weird. Why do I feel like this? It feels good for some reason. It was right there that Weiss realized that Ruby was just an innocent girl who knew nothing about sex. And now Weiss was taking away that innocence, which only turned her on more. Weiss stopped her and raised herself to Ruby's face, brushing a hand against her cheek. Ruby, stick out your tongue, Weiss ordered. Ruby obeyed and let her tongue hand out on her lower lip. Weiss After a while, Weiss pulled herself out of Ruby's mouth, dripping saliva onto the girl's face as Ruby gasped for air with tongue hanging out. You're learning, Weiss commented. Ruby sat up with Weiss, brushing her hand across her cheek and down her slender figure, even over her breasts. Ruby felt her sexual desires rise and burn with passion for the Schnee heiress, and she felt herself being drawn to her against her own will. Her mouth found its way to Weiss's lips, which were accepted as the two came together in a passionate kiss, both of them moaning as their hands clawed at each other's bodies, touching them everywhere. When Ruby broke from her lover, she left a trail of saliva between them. Weiss giggled and leaned Ruby back and headed south towards her. Weiss had barely placed a finger against Ruby's entrance when the girl flinched and moaned at her touch. Why are you touching that, Weiss? She questioned. This is a woman's special spot, Ruby, Weiss replied. It is the source of all pleasure. Let me show you. Weiss, that hurts, Ruby whimpered, gritting her teeth and shutting her eyes. Please take them out. Weiss reached up and caressed Ruby's cheek with her free hand. I'm sorry, Ruby, she apologized. This will only hurt for a while, but it will feel good soon. I promise. Weiss moved back down and Weiss, keep doing that, Ruby moaned. Weiss grinned and removed her fingers, which caught Ruby's attention. What are you doing? Weiss said nothing and instead took her fingers and Weiss released Ruby and sat the girl up. Ruby, want to do something called scissoring? She asked. Ruby, curious as to what this act of scissoring is, nodded. Weiss had Ruby Ruby took long, deep breaths before she collapsed backwards onto the bed. Weiss herself sat on her knees while catching her breath. Then she noticed that Ruby was breathing in and out with her eyes closed. Ruby, you awake? Weiss asked, nudging the little girl. Ruby did not respond. Instead, low snores could be heard from her lips as she snoozed on the bed. With a mere smile, Weiss pulled the blankets over Ruby's nude body, and she climbed in and snuggled up to the sleeping girl. I love you, Ruby Rose, Weiss whispered, giving her a gentle kiss on the cheek before soon falling asleep, her arm tugged into Ruby's left shoulder and keeping her close to herself. Oh my god. End of chapter 1.
That was intense.
Yeah.